Imagine this. It is a post-apocalyptic situation. The civilization has crumbled and the human construct of society has fallen. And the fuel pumps, they run dry. And in such situation, the only power or currency is electricity. In such grim wasteland, it's the rule of the jungle or the survival of the fittest. And when it comes to the survival of the fittest, this just might be the answer. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the formidable Mercedes-Benz G-Class and it's electric. You're watching Car and Bike. I'm Bilal, requesting you to come join me on a journey to the future. The first things first, this one it's officially named as a Mercedes-Benz G580 with EQ Technology. Now the EQ technology, as we know, is the electric division of Mercedes-Benz. But the 580, that's the important number because you also get the same number in the EQS SUV as well as the EQS sedan. Now this is no AMG and there's no plan for getting a more powerful AMG version for this electric G-Class as yet, but that may come later. Now this 580, it also pertains to the battery pack. This one has a 116 kilowatt hour of battery pack, which is one of the biggest on sale here in India. It's bigger than the EQS even, and it's even bigger than the Lotus Electra, one of the fastest, most powerful electric SUV on sale in India right now. But this is a G-Wagon, and if you don't do things in extreme in a G-Wagon, what's the point? Now this one, it has 4 electric motors, each one powering one wheel. So what you get is a combined power output of close to 570 bhp. Now that figure might not be very impressive to some because the G63 AMG, it makes more. But the torque figure, that might interest you a bit. But let me put things in a bit of perspective because the G63 AMG, it has a torque output of just around 850 Newton meter. Now the Lotus Electra, it has a power output of around 900 bhp and close to 950 Newton meter of twisting force. Now the Lamborghini Ruelto, the flagship from the Raging Bull, it has a hybrid V12 and it has a torque output of just 725 Newton meter. Now this one, the Electric G, it has a total torque output of 1163 Newton meter. That's a lot. With one motor on each wheel, it has an individual rotation capacity as well. So each motor can rotate in a different direction. Why is it useful and why am I telling you this? Because say you are heading into a wilderness, you don't know what lay ahead just behind that sand dune. And your gut tells you that maybe the Immortal Joe's army is waiting for you right up ahead of that corner. What do you do in that situation? Well, you simply rotate your G-Class or the electric G-Class on its axis and make your way back. How do you do that? Well, it's called the G-turn or the tank turn. It's pretty simple to engage. Not exactly, because you have a tedious process. Firstly, you have to enter into the most extreme drive mode, that's the rock. Once you enter rock, you will have to engage neutral so that the rock mode is engaged. And then you have to engage the low range of the system. Yeah, the electric G-Wagon, it has a low range setting. There's no physical gearbox, but it has a low range setting which increases the torque output sent to each wheels. Now when you do that, there is a button right next to the low range button. It's called the tank turn. When you press that, it will instruct you to straighten up your wheel, then engage drive mode, and it will give you an option on the display which rotation you want to go in. Now if I want to go counterclockwise, I'll pull the left steering column. I'll pull that and hold that and then lift off the brake and accelerate. Well, this surely is a surreal experience. Now you can only do 720 degrees in it. That's 2 360-degree turn. Well, actually, I'm still facing the army, right? Well, it's not a gimmick though. You can actually turn around and save yourself from the tedious 3-point turns in difficult situations. But try not to do this trick on the tarmac road because that will give you a very hefty and a large tire bill. It's not legal either, I think. Now the best part is it's not exactly a gimmick. It is useful in situation when you are off-roading, and if you have done proper off-roading and you have taken the beaten path, you would know that at situations sometimes you don't get a proper area or proper place to turn your car around. Or if you do sometimes run out of skills. That's where this G-turn comes in. Apart from the tank turn, this electric G-Class, it also comes with something called as G-turn. Now, G-steer actually. Now, what this does is it locks up the inner wheels, and when you try to accelerate at, say, slow speeds around tight corners, it will turn your turning radius into a very tight circle. Now, that will help you navigate some of the tightest corner when off-roading. It's a very handy feature once again. Now that's a party piece done. But how is the electric G-Class actually to drive in a real world condition? Well, the 0 to 100 km per hour time is just around 4.7 seconds, and some might argue that it's not the quickest given the price and the torque output it comes with. But it's no slouch though. It does, when given some beans, it will lift up its nose, lift up its skirt, and run away like, say, a runaway bride. And mind you, this is not a small SUV. It's large, it's massive, and it weighs almost as much as a small planet. So doing that acceleration in this electric SUV, it does feels quick, even if it's not by the number standard. But it doesn't want to be driven fast. Well, it will drive fast if you want to drive it like a lunatic, but it has that go anywhere capability, and with that it gives it a very stately feel when on the road. It doesn't feel like a tall boy SUV that wants to go like a hot hatch, but it has a potential and it knows when and how to use it. It feels like driving any other G-Class then, but the only difference is this one, it feels properly smooth, refined, and properly futuristic. Now there's also something called as the G-Roar. What it is basically a soundbar placed underneath the bonnet where there's no front door, and that soundbar, it tries to emulate the petrol engine soundtrack. For example, if you're going hard, it does try to emulate a V8 sound system. Soundtrack actually. It's not exactly that, but for the uninitiated, for people who don't know that this is an EV, that soundbar, it will give them an impression that yeah, they are sitting in a petrol powered G-Wagon. As I said, it is futuristic as well. So it does come with modern aid, driver's aids, which we call as ADAS. Now it does have autonomous braking, lane keep assist, and adaptive cruise control as well. But it is surreal when this 3-ton SUV, which goes like a brick in a space, when it stops on a dime and it senses a pedestrian in the vicinity. It is surreal and you don't want to experience that. But it is fun though. But apart from that, this electric Geländewagen, it drives like any other G-Class. It is large, it is imposing, it has that body roll, this very busy ride quality, and when you do hit the highway, some of those companies do start to disappear, but a new one pops up. That is the wind noise from this very boxy design. Yeah, despite all the aerodynamic changes it has undergone through, it still is noisy when you do triple-digit speeds on the highway. As for the ride quality, it is as you'd expect from a boxy G-Wagon. It is hard-hitting and stiff at slow speeds. It is not the friendliest either when it comes to steering. It is hard, it takes some effort actually to go from turn to turn, and owing to the towering height, it does roll a lot. But why not? The tires can take it, and there's enough weight low down that won't get you unsettled. Unnerving, maybe, but not exactly unsettled. Now, there is no eco mode here. There is a comfort and sport and the off-road modes as well. But it's a good thing they haven't given an electric mode here, because it is a big electric SUV which is known for being famous for off-roading. But if you keep it in comfort all day, it's not exactly a very user-friendly SUV because it demands respect. It needs to be driven in a certain way. It's not your regular car which is trying to be sluggish SUV or an everyday car. This one, it does command respect and you need to give it that. The controls are heavy. You need to have proper control of the vehicle, especially when you are giving it some beams or going hard on the throttle. This car, it commands respect. Now, another driving aid is the off-road cruise control, which can set the speed be it climbing up or down a hill. As a result, it is still iconic and effortless when it comes to off-roading. You are just a passenger and the car will take care of the rest. There's loads of torque from the motor, so at times you don't even need a run-up to go over some tough obstacles. Also part of the off-road hardware is the transparent bonnet feature, which shows you things about through the bonnet. And also, the cameras are brilliant, better than some of the phone cameras that you get in a modern day time. That then actually helps you when you are off-roading, and it gives you a good judgment all around. Lastly, the water weighting capacity of this electric Geländewagen is 850 mm. That's almost up to the height of the wheel arches. And that's better than the ICE counterpart because they have to deal with exhaust systems and stuff. But more importantly, this electric G-Wagon, it has a flat underbody. It is done to reinforce the battery pack, so you can actually take it off-roading without having to worry a lot. And that's saying something. Now, as for the cabin, there's nothing exactly new here. Everything that you see is taken or familiar from all the G classes from the last decade. You get a very boxy cabin with a very upright windshield. The seats are large and comfortable. The dashboard, it has a wide screen. Although all the new Mercedes models, they have moved on to a much wider hyper screens. This one, it still uses an old format. Now, the G-Class's forte has never been the cabin space it offers despite its large footprint, and its same carries forward with this electric G-Class. The cabin here, it's very compact, it is loaded with features, but even at the back, the space isn't much. You can fit in 3 adults at the back, but there's not much of an entertainment out there. You don't get a screen at 3 crore price tag, you don't get even a large panoramic sunroof. But who cares about rare entertainment screen when you are conquering a mountain in an electric G-Class, right? And even the boot space at the back at 555 liters, it's slightly less than the ICE counterpart. But if you want to move a house, you can just fold down and get almost 2000 liters of cargo carrying capacity if you actually want to move a house. Now, as for the design, there's not much to say here. It's still recognizable as a proper G-Class. It still turns head on the road and pulls out smartphone cameras quicker than any celebrity can actually. But I would like to point out a few important things over here. Now, internationally, the electric G, it gets an illuminated grille. Now, that's a new trend these days where manufacturers of EV cars, they replace the grille with an illuminated part because as we know, the grills in EVs are not functional parts anymore. And I don't mind that, but here in India, you do get this horizontal louver only and you don't get that illuminated part. I would have preferred that because that would have given this a very different persona. But keen-eyed enthusiasts or proper G-Class enthusiasts would notice that there is a bit of a bump in the bonnet. The bonnet, it's slightly raised. Now, usually that is done to accommodate a bigger engine, say a bigger Hemi V8, or there might be a supercharger attached to an engine. But there is no engine here. So what you get this bonnet bump for? It is to improve aerodynamics because as we know, the G-Class, it has an aerodynamics of a brick. More such measures are seen on the rounded A-pillar and even on top of the roof line, you see there is a bit of a bump or a lip spoiler. That is again done to improve aerodynamic efficiency. On the side, you notice that this 20-inch alloy wheels are retained and they are required to do justice to the humongous dimension of the G-Class. Now, those tires, they carry a higher profile because you need to go off-roading as we had seen already, and it is essential for those tank turns as well. But the telltale sign, the biggest telltale sign that this is an electric G-Class is the air vent that's placed just ahead of the rear fender. Now at the back, there are no changes per se to the standard G-Class recipe, but I would like to tell you that internationally, you don't get a spare wheel mounted here. Instead, you get a small box which houses the electric charging cable. Now in India, you don't get that option. You only get this spare wheel as standard. But do you like to see that small squarish electric box mounted on the back of this electric G-Wagon, or do you prefer this, the more traditional look? Do let us know your opinion in the comment section below. Also write down what do you think about this electrifying blue paint scheme, and would you spec your G-Class in this color, or would you go for a traditional one? Write them down in the comments. Now, at the end of the day, this electric Geländewagen, it has an ace up its sleeve. Admittedly, it is quite capable when it comes to off-roading. It's even better than the insanely quick and powerful G63. And I'm gonna go a step ahead and admit that it is actually better than its oil burner counterpart, the G400D, because all those 1100 Newton meter of twisting force, it really does come in handy when roads start to disappear. Its only real limitation comes in the form of the 400 odd kilometers of realistic driving range. Now, I wish with this amount of battery pack, the range could have been better. But when you have an electric SUV, but it's still a G-Class. It is an electric SUV now, but it's still impractical. It's still outrageous. It's flamboyant, I admit, and turns head and commands respect wherever it goes. But it is still not a sensible buy. If you want a very expensive luxury SUV, there are many sensible choices out there. In fact, Mercedes' own EQ stable offers you an EQS SUV. This electric G-Wagon, it is unnecessary. It is extravagant. But that's exactly what makes it a proper G, right? Only this one, it is better and it is futuristic. So that's the electric G-Wagon for you, and that's all from me in this video. Hope you liked it, and if you did, do hit that like button and share this video with your fellow G-Wagon enthusiasts, and also share it forward to those who's looking to buy a very expensive electric SUV. And if you have any other doubts, you know the drill. Write them down in the comments and I promise I will address them all personally. This is Bilal signing off. Until next time.